I'm going to read a little bio
Okay.
about you so people know who you are. I mean, because I know who you are, but nobody else does. And then
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, so that's good, because, I think the one sign of somebody who's not growing is they think they've got it figured out.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree 100%. Well, let me begin with what I think is self-evident. I think anyone who's been around the block will agree that pretty much everyone walking the planet throughout history has wanted one thing.
Who are you? And where are you going? What do you want? Together we'll find the ideal path on the Way to Wow Show with your host, Kevin Bemmel.
Every once in a while, we have a guest that won't easily fit into any of the 9 realms, let alone any individual pillar in the 3 pillars of attainment. For that person, they're not only living a holistic life, but they can help us figure out how to do the same. And that's my guest for this episode of the Way to Wow Show. Rabbi Shlomo Seidenfeld is going to talk to us about how we integrate the physical, mental, and spiritual into one overall whole that will lead us on our way to wow. But first, we're going to talk to Hendo, and he's going to mix up a cocktail.
Okay, Kevin, how are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good. So what do you got this time?
Today we're going to be making one of the ones that is an original to me.
Excellent.
Original in general, which is going to be called a Muir Sour.
A Muir Sour.
Yeah, Muir Sour, which is my grandmother's last name. And my grandmother was a horrible human being. Because she was Scottish and moody and grumpy and all that sort of stuff, because she was raised in a different time where happiness hadn't been invented yet. So what this is this is actually based on, like, I get why she was upset. All of her friends died out in the Cretaceous period, so I would be too. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a sour in the traditional sense.
Okay.
And then we're going to use a kind of original syrup, which is a combination of wine, sugar, and then I have clove and I have cinnamon in here. So it's going to have kind of like a holidays, kind of like, festive kind of smell to it, like taste and, that kind of, I don't know, Yuletide-y kind of thing.
Okay.
So we're going to do that because she used to give us, as kids, this, I don't know if you know anything about Scots, they have this little thing that goes around where they kind of drug the kids a little bit. They go, here, have this, and it's a tiny bit of nip inside some sort of like a marmalade base or a jam base kind of alcohol, and that subdues the kids. Well, I realized years later that I used to get this stuff when I became an adult, and I was like, I swear Gran used to give this to me in order to make me shut up and become docile. So I made a drink based around that, and it's a lot of fun.
Sounds good. It's got scotch. So.
It's got scotch, so it's a little bit of everything of her in it. So we're going to basically, we call it Muir Sour, not just because it's a sour, but because she was so very much that. So here we go. Just because, every drink should have a story.
Absolutely.
So we're going to do everything freshly squeezed.
Nice. Good fresh lemon.
Exactly. So now, do you drink a lot of sours at all, or what do you? Have you got a favorite sour?
I don't recall. I like whiskey sours. I've had them on occasion.
Yeah.
I once made one for my wife and me, and I think I'm fortunate she didn't divorce me over it. It was so horrible.
That's good.
But I had a whiskey sour in Manhattan. I think it was for the first time, and loved it.
Really?
Yeah, at a
Wonderful.
piano bar in Manhattan, now that I think about it, and it was wonderful.
Wonderful, I love that. So did you have a New York sour there, or did you have a Boston sour, or just a traditional kind of sour?
Boy, it's too long ago to remember exactly what kind it was. It brings back fond memories.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're going to shake this with just a teensy bit of ice. Now, usually you do a dry shake, but I actually find that doing a wet shake and then a dry shake gets you the best kind of head on the drink.
Wait, so what's I've never heard of this, a wet shake?
So you've got yourself a wet shake, which is the traditional kind of way of doing it with ice in it.
Oh. Okay.
And then you've got yourself a dry shake, which is going to be with basically nothing in it at all. So, and the citrus and the alcohol inside of this is going to actually cook the egg white.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And you can do it a bunch of different ways, but that's the way that I like to do it. So you can do it the normal way, which is do it dry then wet, but I found that wet then dry really brings out like the best kind of like froth on it.
Oh, okay. I see. So you're going to then strain this back?
I'm going to strain this back into here and get rid of all the excess ice, just like that, and you're looking for that kind of color.
Yeah.
So we're going with that jam, marmalade-y kind of like look.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Love that. Wonderful. I need to go to New York and have some of their sour. So a New York sour, by the way, is going to be it's going to be a little bit of red wine drizzled over the top. Boston sour is going to have some salt sprinkled into it. I think that's a joke on Boston as being salty about something. I'm not sure what that's all about.
Yeah, I never thought of the Bostonians as being salty, but
You can tell me. I don't know. I just saw it there and I was like, that seems like it could be a joke. Might not be. Might be just the way that it is.
yeah, you never know.
We don't have a strainer here at the moment, but it should work out just fine. Just do that. Oh, it's a bit messy. Cheers. There you
An angel just got its wings.
go. There you go. I wondered how that happened. And we're looking for that nice creamy head on top.
Oh yeah, you definitely got it.
There you go. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Just do it like that. Wonderful. Then I just like to put an orange peel, even though it's got lemon in it. She just like to put that resting in there like that. She used to get oranges for Christmas because, as she said, that was the only thing you could get in Scotland that was of any value that her family could afford.
Oranges,
So,
huh?
Fresh fruit apparently back then was hard to come by in Scotland.
Quite a
Back
thing.
in the 1300s. So they've decided to go with that, so they don't get
I
scurvy.
thought it was the crustaceous.
Yeah, that was the Cretaceous. The crustaceous with all the crabs, but it was the Cretaceous as well. So
All those acious.
all those
always,
aciuses, so many of
they
those.
confuse me.
Yeah, me too. One acius is much like another acius. They're all aciuses. So there you go. Acius to acius, drinks to drinks. Wow, we've used that a lot, haven't we? We're having a bit of fun with that.
Yeah.
Have a drink, my friend. Talk to you
Philosophy
later.
according to Hendo.
Yeah, exactly. Just wordplay, silliness.
Thank you, sir.
No problem,
We're going
mate.
to
Have a
enjoy
good one.
these. I'm walking slowly and I'm still spilling them. This is a Muir sour Hendo made for us. It's named after his Scottish grandmother, who I guess was not the happiest of human beings that ever occupied
Grace.
this planet. Shall we toast to, I don't know,
To meaning.
to meaning? There you go.
Now I know why he left so quickly. No, I'm only joking. It's still,
First guest ever to slam the drink.
no, it's wonderful, actually.
It's good, huh?
Really good. We have to.
Yeah. Yum. So, a fortuitous meeting on the street.
Yep.
And
Beverly Hills.
here we are, right? I'm going to read a little bio
Okay.
about you so people know who you are. I mean, because I know who you are, but nobody else does. And then
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, so that's good because, I think the one sign of someone who's not growing is they think they've got it figured out.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree 100%.
Self-described as a freelance rabbi, Shlomo Seidenfeld has an eclectic professional background, to say the least. He is a successful real estate agent who uses his counseling and conflict resolution skills to assist his clients in their transactions. And that covers the physical pillar. He teaches classes to executives in the music and film industry and serves as the scholar in residence for Aisha Torah's Jewish Men's Initiative program. So you've got the mental pillar covered. Shlomo has been active in Jewish outreach for over 30 years, including founding a major program at UCLA. Okay, that's that little
Jam.
little trade school over in Westwood. The real university is, USC. downtown.
Understood.
Okay.
I know where you went.
Yeah. He's been a filmmaker, completing a project in Hungary chronicling his father's life prior to the concentration camp, out of which came his powerful lecture on faith titled, How God Survived Auschwitz.
May I jump in for a moment?
Sure.
I didn't actually make that film. I traveled with the film crew.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not a filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I want to be.
A wannabe filmmaker. Okay, well, so maybe this will launch your, media
Maybe.
career.
Okay.
Nonetheless, your lecture on faith covers the third pillar, which is the spiritual pillar. Rounding out your life, you have your wife Holly, with whom you live in Los Angeles. You have 3 daughters and a son-in-law.
Yes, Lolly.
Yeah, Lolly. Did I say Lolly?
You said Holly, I believe.
Oh,
I have to correct that.
yeah. Please,
Because she'll see this.
Absolutely. Right.
She'll
and
think
then
I'm
she'll tell
saying
my
I'm married
wife.
to another woman.
A lot of territory there we won't cover. Lolly. He's married to Lolly. Yeah. So, I was saying in the introduction, I can't put you into any realm, let alone any of the 3 pillars. You're really
The way I like it.
dealing with life in its totality. So maybe you can tell us, O wise one, what is the recipe to living a fulfilled and meaningful life? Or in the language of the show, how do we find our way to wow?
Wow. Thank you for that. Well, let me begin with what I think is self-evident. I think anyone who's been around the block will agree that pretty much everyone walking the planet throughout history has wanted one thing, and that is to have meaning in their life, for their life to be meaningful, to have more, but not just more, deeper. It's interesting, I came across, and unfortunately I didn't keep the article, but I came across an article a while ago, and it was, the author of the article was a psychologist. I don't believe he was a spiritual person, but I just don't remember clearly. And he said something fascinating. He made an observation. He observed that there's a phenomenon that you see by humans that you don't see in the animal kingdom. There are many, but he was focusing on one. And the phenomenon that he was focusing on was excess, E-X-C-E-S-S, to have more than you need. In the animal kingdom, you never have that. It's all about survival. Every move they make revolves around survival. Not true for human beings. It doesn't only revolve around survival. Survival isn't enough. Just to survive, just to live isn't enough. You want more. You want more than you have, always constantly pressing and striving for more, or being driven for more. So he said, why is that true? What does that say about us? So his conclusion was the following. He said, it's because we're not only bodies, but we're souls. This is a psychologist speaking,
Right.
who said, you have an experience. It's an exhilarating experience. You're on to the next one. You've done it, been there, done that. I need the next thing. And you keep on going from one to the other because there is this insatiable desire you have for more or for different or for deeper. And it's because there's a part of you that's not being fed. It's not being nourished. There's the soul that wants something else that you are not feeding it. It's interesting. I mean, I'm thinking about who your audience is. This is an idea that came to me a while ago, and I use it a lot. I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I really pay attention to words, language, both in Hebrew and in English as well. And the word for meaning, fulfillment, fulfilled, let's say. So that's a fascinating word, because let's break it down. Full, filled. They're both 2 versions of the same word. Full and filled. Why is that? And yet that's the word that refers to this quality of being fulfilled in a deep, meaningful, profound way. Why fulfilled? So I think the idea, and it just resonates with me, because again, I'm both in the business world and I'm both in the spiritual world and the counseling world, is you can have a full life and not be filled up. You can have a full life. You can be exhilarated by what you're doing professionally, and it's not enough. It doesn't fill you. Full life, not fulfilled, not filled.
So how do we find those experiences?
Well,
how
that's
do we get them?
I was hoping you were going to ask that question. Let me ask you something, okay? Audience participation,
Okay.
or host participation.
You got it.
Okay. Have you ever had a profound experience in your life?
Yes.
Okay. Would you mind briefly sharing it? And it could be more than one.
I mean, the one that leaps to mind was when my daughter was born.
Oh, beautiful. That's one of the key answers. For a lot of people, I'll tell you where the answers fall, because I've asked this question a lot within the context of this conversation. So a lot of people mention life events, birth. Some people mention death. When someone dies, when someone passes, that's a profound life event.
For sure.
So both cradle to coffin, the whole gamut of experience, those are profound events. Some people mention a difficult time in their life that they somehow rose above and transcended. It could be a bankruptcy, we'll fill in the blank, just a difficult time that you transcend. A lot of people mention nature, being in nature. And nature doesn't have to be the most expansive. It doesn't have to be this macro. It could just be in some sweet natural scene that just somehow triggers something inside you. You don't even know how to explain it. You don't even know what it's triggering, but it's profound. You would use the word profound. So people use these two answers: events and environments. Events and environments. But here's the problem. And I'm using this as a prelude to answering your question.
Sure.
The problem with an event or an experience is, or an environment is, once you leave the environment, it's gone. You're not there. Once the event is over, it's gone. It can affect you. It can launch you into an orbit. But how do you stay in that orbit? That's the thing. You want to stay in that orbit. I have a family member who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro after a family tragedy. Something was propelling him. He had to concretely do something. And he's a bit of a runner, much better shape than I am, especially after this. And he climbed up Mount Kilimanjaro. I don't even think he did any altitude training, although he's a runner. And I think he was the first one up there. But the thing is this, and I'm sure he was driven up there, and when he was up there, it was cathartic and powerful and profound. But here's the thing, you have to come down. You can't stay on Mount Kilimanjaro.
Right.
Daughter's born, that's awesome, amazing, powerful moment. But, and she's still in your life, and your life is filled with these moments. How do we maintain that? So I want to say there are three, I think it's a tripod. It's really a tripod.
Okay.
And the tripod is through giving, striving, and meditation / prayer. That's how we keep it alive.
Do me a favor, repeat those things again.
Giving, being a giver, and we can discuss that, we can elaborate on that. Striving, never being satisfied, always striving for deeper and deeper. Okay? Striving to get closer to the divine image that you were born with. And meditation, or prayer, or reflection. Giving, I'll share a story with you.
Do.
Have you ever heard of Baron de Rothschild?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not the story you're necessarily going to tell, but I certainly have heard of him.
Oh, okay. So Baron de Rothschild came from, and I'm not sure which one of the Rothschilds, but he came from a very famous banking family, I think based in Switzerland. And the one that I'm speaking about, who lived I think he was born in the 1800s, late 1800s, and lived into the 1900s. He was a billionaire before there was billionaires. A secular Jew. And he refused to give interviews. It was his policy never to give an interview for one reason. There was one question that he anticipated would be asked that he would refuse to answer. What do you think the question was?
how you became so wealthy?
Okay, that he didn't necessarily, that didn't bother him. The question that he was anticipating was, what's your net worth? How much are you worth? How much are you worth? The Forbes question.
Right.
What's your net worth? For some reason, this is an article I read a while ago, he made an exception. And he granted a journalist an interview. And the journalist is there in one of his homes, sits down, has a wonderful interview, and all the way at the end, last question, he said, I just want, my article is going to be read by many people around the world, and I'm sure everyone's going to be interested in, do you mind if I ask you what your net worth is? Baron de Rothschild gets up and storms out of the room. It took him 30 minutes. It was a huge room. That was a joke. Thank you. He stormed out of the room, so he knew he offended him. What he didn't know was whether he was coming back into the room or not. So he waited there. He was going to wait a little bit before he left. Sure enough, Baron de Rothschild walks back in, walks over to the desk, and slams a book on the desk and tells him to open it. Tells him to open it. He opens up the book, and it's a ledger of all the money that he has donated in his life, a running ledger. And he points to the book and he said, that's what I'm worth. That's my net value. That's a powerful lesson. Powerful lesson coming from a powerful person. A lot of times powerful people are not that driven or do not value. They give, but maybe there's an ulterior motive. He defined himself by what he gave. That brought meaning into his life and his wealth. So that's
an amazing story.
It's a powerful story for me also. I use it whenever I can.
Absolutely. We could speak for 10 shows, I think.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
Our time is
our time is up. It flies. Shlomo, just amazing thoughts, amazing wisdom. I really appreciate it on a personal level, you coming and talking. Tell us again the three.
Giving, being a giver, and again, maybe at another time we'll elaborate on the others.
Yes.
Striving, being a striver, but striver for leading an elevated life, not just striving, moving from one thing to the next and keep on being driven just to achieve for achievement's sake or for wealth. And a prayer / meditation / reflection.
Okay.
And you incorporate those three into your life. And I think that it will have an impact on your quality of life.
You'll find your way to wow.
You'll find your way to wow. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's easy to get focused on one or maybe two realms. If our health is declining, we can get focused there, or if we're really motivated by our job. Sometimes we need to take a step back and realize that all 9 realms and all 3 pillars are important, and they need to work together if we're going to find our way to wow. Thinking back about what Shlomo told us, his wonderful stories, the clarity of what he said, we need to think about giving, striving, and meditating if we want to live that holistic life where we can keep growing day after day, month after month, year after year. Giving, striving, and meditating. To do that, have courage at all times, my friends. Marie, you're still my belle, darling.